Okay, so in this session, we will be discussing the lambda expressions. What exactly lambda expression? Okay, so let's discuss that. Okay, so first we will be discussing the history. First, we will be discussing the history of lambda calculus, where we are getting this lambdas. So let's talk about the history. So the lambda calculus was introduced in mathematical world in 1930s. Yes, we are taking the lambda calculus from the maths only. Okay, in 1930 they invented this. Okay, they introduced this lambda calculus in mathematical world. Later, because of this, lambda calculus popularity, it involved into it came to the programming languages as well. The first programming language which introduced this lambda calculus is the Lisp. Lisp is the first programming language which introduced this lambda calculus. So what is exactly lambda expression? Okay, so lambda expression. So, what is lambda expression? Lambda expression is just like an anonymous function which doesn't have which doesn't have any name, any return type, which doesn't have any name and any return type. Okay, so how we will define the lambda expression? We'll see that. Okay, so we'll see how we will define the lambda expression. So let me go to my screen recorder. So not screen recorder. I'll be going to my notepad. I'll be going to my notepad. Okay. And I forgot to tell you this lambda expression, this lambda calculus came to the Java recently itself. It's been almost 8 or 9 years. It's been. So to support the functional programming, they have introduced this one. Okay. Let me write the syntax of lambda expression. Let me grab the screen. Okay. Okay. So lambda expression syntax. What is the syntax of lambda expression? As I told you, lambda expression is nothing but it's a lambda expression which doesn't have any name. It doesn't have any return type. How we will write it? What would be the syntax? So we have a parameters. Okay. So and we have a uh, lambda symbol. Okay, and we have a curly braces as well. We have a curly braces as well. That's it. So here in this parameters, you'll be specifying the number of parameters. We'll be specifying the number of parameters if we have any. If any. If you'll be specifying the number of parameters, any. Okay. So if you have, in a curly braces, you will be writing the number of statements. Okay, so if you are going to write, if you are implementation will be having only one line of code, you will be you will not expect to write the curly braces. Okay, let me take a simple example, okay, to explain the lambda expression. Okay, so as of now, by definition, you can understand that lambda expression doesn't have any name. See, it doesn't have any name. Okay, it's an expression only. This is the kind of syntax you have to write it. Okay, you have to follow the same syntax and write the lambda expression. And it doesn't have any return type as well. You can check. I'm whether check it whether I am returning any return type. If you have any return statement, we can say that it is a return type kind of thing. So the lambda expression doesn't have any return type. It doesn't have any name as well. Okay. So now let's write a simple method. Actually, let's convert that method to a lambda expression. Let's say we have a method called a greeting. Let's say we have a method called a greeting. Okay, and this method will be available in an interface called let's say greet is the interface. In that interface, I have a method called greet. Or I'll do one thing. This is not an interface. Let's take it as a class itself. So I have a method called, let's imagine that I have a method called greeting. Okay. So this greeting method will be taking the string as a parameter, string message as a parameter. What I'll do is I'll be printing the greeting. Okay. I'll say system.println. I'll say greeting. So how we will be doing in object-oriented programming language? We'll be creating an object. Let's say this greeting method is available in a class called. Let's say this greeting method is available in a class called C1 is a class. Let's just imagine this is C1 is a class, and in that class we have a method called a greeting. We can say that we can change this class to wishes. Wishes is a class. In that class, we have a method called a greeting. Now, in plain old days, what we used to do is, before Java 8, what we used to do is we will be creating an object of wishes and we will be calling the method of a wish, right? So we'll be creating an object of wishes, w equals to new wishes. Okay. So I'll say w dot greeting method, right? W dot greeting method, I'll be passing a message over here. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, this is the message which I am passing it. So now if you want to trace it, you can trace something like this. Greeting is a method called by the W object. W is an object of wishes class. Go to the wishes class and search for the greetings method. It is there. Okay, and it will print the message. So it will print the good evening. Now, what this lambda expression will tell is you don't need to concentrate on creating an object and all. You just concentrate what your class is having. Okay, let's say your class is having a method called greeting. Okay, even you don't need to bother about the method itself. Okay, you just to know what this greeting method is accepting. It is accepting a string. Okay, what you do is, so this greeting method is accepting only one parameter, right? So I'll say string greeting lambda expression, and I'll write the message over here, the same message, SOT of message. That's it. Simple. That's it. Simple. This is completed. Okay. Simple, right? So you don't need to concentrate on, you don't need to write all these things. You might be returning, you might be using an interface and you might be using a class, and you don't need to create an object inside any class. You directly use this lambda expression and you can make a call to that method. You can execute that method directly. Okay. So now mostly right, how to write this lambda expression. So lambda expression based on the I have converted this simple method into the simple lambda expression. So here the method will be having a message as a parameter. Here we are taking the oh sorry, I'll be writing the message as a parameter. Okay, and I'm displaying the message. That's what I'm doing it. Okay, nothing, this work I don't need to do it. I don't need to do it, this work. Okay, fine. So you don't need to depend on implementation class. Okay, so I have taken this is for an example of a in class. So we have an interface. So for interface, if you know, if you remember, if you define any method in interface, if you define any method in inside the interface, let's say bank is an interface. So if you define any method in an interface, let's say withdrawal is a method. Okay, if we define any method in an interface, we should implement in our implementation class. We should override this withdrawal method in your implementation class. Okay, but using the lambda expression, I don't need to. This is a functional interface. Functional interface. Okay, so using lambda expression, I'll directly go to the main class. I'll say I need to call this method withdrawal. Okay, I'll say directly withdrawal method doesn't take anything. Directly, I'll say this. If you want to print anything, you can print it. I'll say withdrawal is done, and this is available in which interface? Bank interface. Bank. That's it. Simple. Okay. Got it? Or confused? Now you are calling bank dot withdrawal. That's it. So this method will be executed. So when you are calling bank dot withdrawal method, this specific implementation will be executed. Okay. So fine. So by practicing all these things, you'll be habituated with the Java 8. Okay, don't confuse it. It is not a kind of rocket science. Okay, you'll understand very easily. I'll give notes. Okay, so you don't need to worry about much on this lambda expression. So lambda expression is like an anonymous function which doesn't have any name, any return type. Okay, how we will be writing the lambda expression? Here we have a syntax, a number of parameters if any. So if you have any parameters, if you have one parameter, two parameter, three parameter, you can enclose it. Okay. So in order to differentiate between the one parameter or the parameter, so you'll be using the comma. Okay. Let's say this withdrawal will be having a two parameters. Let's imagine that. Let's say it is taking the existing balance and we are requesting some amount actually. Requested amount. Okay. So if we want to differentiate between the two parameters, you should be using comma. In normal plain Java also we used to do this way itself. If we want to use more than, if you want to have a, if your method is having more than one parameter, okay, what you will do, you will be using a comma and you will be separate between the one parameter to the other parameter. The same thing we are doing over here as well. Okay, so fine. Any doubts? Okay, so let me share the, I have written an example actually. Let me go to that example and let me explain you. I have taken a greetings example. Okay, okay. So this is my greetings interface. Okay, so I created an interface first, interface, and I have given the interface name as greeting, and I have a method called greet. Okay, and I have a method called greet. Okay, I'll be implementing this interface in a Hindi greeting and English greeting as well. So how to do that? Class 2. If you want to extend the interface in a class, you will be using a implements keyword. So Hindi greeting, I'll be creating a class called Hindi greeting and I am implementing a interface called greeting. So whatever the methods available in a greeting, so it is definitely coming to the Hindi greeting as well, right? So what you are doing here, you are overriding the greeting method, right? So whatever it is which is there in this interface, we used to override it, right? This is an abstract method. We used to override in our implementation class called Hindi greeting and English greeting as well. In Hindi greeting, I have given a simple sysort statement as Namaste, and I have implemented the same greeting interface in English greeting as well. So and I have overridden the greet method as well. So here I have written a simple good morning message. Okay, so now I have a main class called Wellwisher. I have created a main class called Wellwisher. So what I'm doing is I'm calling this, in my Wellwisher class, I have a method called wish method, which is taking the greetings as a parameter. Just taking the greeting as a parameter. From this wish method, I'm making a call to the greet. Okay. Got it? So this is my method, which is the method which is taking the greeting as a parameter and I am calling the method of. So greeting is having a method, right? That is a greet. I am making a call to this method. Okay. When I am making a call to this method, so which implementation class would be executed? So here I have written a code. Greetings, Hindi greeting equals to Hindi greeting, wish of, you want to pass, you want to wish using the Hindi greeting. You want to wish in Hindi. So I have passed the Hindi greeting. I have created an object. So this is kind of dynamic binding concept. So you are creating a base class, and there is an implementation class as well. So greeting, English greeting equals to new English greeting, and which of English greeting object you are passing. So when you are passing English greeting object, first this this would be executed. Okay. Second, this would be executed. First, it will print namaste. Then it will print good morning, something like that. Okay, let me execute this one. Run as Java application. See, it is printing namaste, good morning. Fine. All right. Okay.